Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and for the first time since 2019, England are back in action. International football is back, with Gareth Southgate's three Lions taking on Iceland and Denmark in the Nations League. It's been a long time since we saw England batter Kosovo 4-0, and a lot has changed since then. Mainly that the world has turned upside down by a global health pandemic, but let's not dwell on it, even if it did force Euro 2020 to be delayed by a year. As I say, a lot's changed in a year, but what about 5 years? Well, I've simulated the year 2025 on Football Manager 2020. I'm going to see how the three Lions are getting on. That means we've got three major tournaments to look at, as well as who's in the squad 5 years in the future. Let's go. Right, the bad news is football hasn't came home. If anything, it's further away home than ever before. Southgate is no longer the one, with the former Borough boss getting the sack in the summer of 2020 following a disappointing Euros, because on the game the tournament still happened when it was supposed to. England were knocked out in the second round by Germany after extra time, which resulted in Southgate getting his P45. His replacement saw a change of style for England, with Sean Dyche getting the job to manage his country. And in a way, Dyche has brought success, but in another, it's been more of the same, if not worse. The good thing is, he won the Nations League. I mean, is that a big deal or not? It's probably only a big deal if you win it, which is exactly what England didn't do at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and the 2024 Euros. At the Winter World Cup, Dyche's men were knocked out in an embarrassing fashion, losing in the second round to Slovakia, a result which was no doubt blamed on the fact that the tournament was held during the Christmas period. I mean, how on earth could the players prepare for that? In the summer of 2024, Dyche took his team to Germany for the Euros and was just as unsuccessful, despite being held at the right time of the year, with his team once again losing in the second round, this time to Austria. The result signalled the end for Dyche, but it wasn't the FA's decision. In fact, Dyche resigned. Despite two horrendous tournaments, he still went out on his own back. So there's a new man in charge, and it's Bristol City boss Lee Johnson. The bloke who constantly looks like he's on the brink of tears. And he probably was in tears after his last game, losing a Nations League third place playoff to Italy in June 2025, in a game that took place at the City Ground of all places. And even weirder, the final was at Molineux. Christ, maybe the Nations League isn't a big deal after all. Anyway, let's have a look at the England team from that game, as well as some other interesting names in the squad. In goal was Jordan Pickford. So it looks like Jordan Pickford is still England's number one, which might explain why we haven't won anything. He's been capped 64 times by his country, and he will be more, but he's also shared the gloves with Jack Butland and Nick Pope. But there's been no caps for Dean Henderson, as the poor bloke's just stuck on the Man United bench. Right back was Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's been no movement in midfield for Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he's without a doubt England's main right back, and in fact he's listed as their key player and vice captain. He's already got 66 caps at the age of 26, so he'll probably get to 100, but amazingly he's still only got a single goal for his country. Regardless, it's the undisputed best right back for England, with Wan-Bissaka and Reece James boasting just 2 caps each between them. Centre back was Joe Gomez. The Liverpool theme continues in defence, with Joe Gomez our second Anfield hero. He's been a key player in the defence throughout the simulation, which is exactly what he's going to be in the coming years. He's been consistently sound in an England shirt after earning 70 caps, while there's been no more reported bust-ups with Raheem Sterling, who's actually conspicuous by his absence. He hasn't played for England since the 2024 Euros debacle, hanging up his international boots after their exit to Austria. Next up was Fikayo Tomori. Centre-back has been a problem position for England, and in 2025 it looks like Lee Johnson has settled for Fikayo Tomori as Joe Gomez's main partner. Harry Maguire is still in and around the squad with no off-the-field antics to disrupt his reputation, while England's other centre-back option is currently Axel Tuanzebe. Weird. Left-back was Max Aarons. Lee Johnson's an absolute maverick here, playing a right-back at left-back. Christ, football's evolved in 5 years' time. Okay, so that's not quite what's happened here. Ben Chilwell is the usual left-back and he has been for years, but a couple of broken ribs put him on the shelf in May and forced him to miss the end of the illustrious 2025 Nations League. Maybe if he played, we would have won. Centre mid was Mason Mount. Into the midfield we go, and surprisingly we've got Mason Mount playing in a much deeper role. That's probably because his best mate Declan Rice never got another chance in an England shirt, with the West Ham man failing to live up to any hype and spending his career stuck at the London Stadium on 2 caps. Mount was alongside Ronaldo Vieira. Here's a name I bet you didn't think you'd hear in this video. Yes, former Leeds youngster Ronaldo Vieira is a starter for England under Lee Johnson in 2025, and he's also a Juventus player. I don't know which part of that is more surprising. Vieira's got 10 caps for his country, in a position where Jordan Henderson has retired from and Harry Winks has failed to grasp. Of course, you'll notice that there's no Phil Foden here, and that's not because he was all hype and faded into the obscurity of League Two. In fact, he was just injured. On the right is Jadon Sancho. On Football Manager in 2025, Jadon Sancho is an England superstar and a Man United winger, which is good news for fans of the Old Trafford outfit. Sure, he's only just signed for Man United, but ignore that. In the past few years, he's been getting better and better in an England shirt, which may have influenced Raheem Sterling's decision to call it a day. Or maybe he just wanted a few more holidays every year, who knows. Attack midfield was Dele Alli. Despite being slagged off to the hills by Jose Mourinho on Amazon Prime, Dele Alli is an England starter in 2025, even though there's no reason for those two things to be linked. Anyway, Ali is back in the England squad unlike in reality, and he's got a whopping 81 caps and 32 goals, which I think he should be very proud of. He keeps Jack Grealish out of the team, who is finally an England international, although all 16 of his appearances came off the bench, so maybe Southgate was right. On the left was Marcus Rashford. National treasure Marcus Rashford has won the hearts of everyone in the past 12 months, and I think by 2025 he could be Prime Minister if he plays his cards right. On FM he's still just a footballer, still for Manchester United and England. For the Three Lions he's closing in on 100 caps and the goals have continued to flow, even if he continues to spend most of his days coming in from the left. Other options out there include Bukayo Saka and Callum Hudson-Odoi, as well as Jonathan Elecspo, who has just received his first call with the Three Lions at the age of 26. And up front was Harry Kane. Captain, leader, legend. That's Harry Kane in 2025, even if England have been knocked out of the second round in the last 3 tournaments under his captaincy. But whatever, he's still averaging more than 2 goals every 3 games for his country, and his form's enough to ensure he's still the main man and keep Tammy Abraham and Man City youngster Morgan Rogers out the team. But seriously Harry, why haven't we won anything yet? You were meant to bring football home. So that's England in 2025 according to Football Manager 2020. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo, and until next time, we'll see you around.